Okay, so this will be the last part of chapter 3, is that my daughter had locked herself out and turned out I didn't have a key to help her, so I was pretty useless. These guys obviously have done something they shouldn't have, and up against the wall, they're going, trapped like rodentia, which is just, science speak for trapped like rats. This is scientists when they build their structure of relatedness. Who's related to whom? What does their tree of life look like? You get two basically different trees of life. You get kind of the old system and kind of the new system. And I'm going to talk a little bit about both of them because you'll run into both of them if you ever look at this stuff. So these are organization systems. The old one's called systematics. So you've got a tree and it branches and it branches, and maybe this branches again, and this goes up, and you've got a species and a species and a species. This species shares a common ancestral group here. These three species share a common ancestral group here. These two guys are more closely related because their ancestors are not that far back. These guys are related but not as closely because their ancestral group is back here. So the branch points are ancestral groups. It may be organized by species, it may be organized by genus, it could be organized by families. It all depends on who's building the tree. So we may not know who that ancestral group is, but by looking at molecular clocks and kind of connecting the dots back to when they shared a common ancestor, that's how molecular clocks works. And very often what happens is the fossil people will have fossils that they're pretty sure is the shared ancestor, and the molecular clock people and they'll have different times how back into the past that these two things happen. And the fossil people are going, well, we can tell you how old these things are. And the molecular clock people are going, well, yeah, but the ticking of the clock puts it here. And remember, the molecular clocks are not as reliable, is that we don't know whether mutation rates are always exactly the same over long periods of time. Weird stuff happens, like the polar direction on the Earth flips, and during those flip periods, there's way more radiation from space hitting the surfaces, so the mutation rates would be really speeded up for who knows how long when those things flip. But nobody takes that into account. The molecular clock people, it's all numbers, so they go, no, it works to this point in the past. But that's how the trees work in systematics. The next thing is cladistics. And this is how a branch works in cladistics. And I'll write this down. But notice the branch points. When one branch goes to a group that does not have a certain feature, and the rest of the branch goes to a particular feature, and then they add features as they go. So cladistics trees branch where certain critical features arise in the ancestry. So yeah, there could be an ancestral group here, but the split really has to do with hair versus just having a backbone, right? The turtles, the reptiles split off, and now you got the mammals, hair and mammary glands. These guys lay eggs, so not laying eggs, developing inside branches off here. These guys give birth to barely advanced fetuses, and these guys give birth to more developed babies. They have a long gestation, so that's where the branch is for those parts of the mammals. So that's cladistics. What they call critical features, features that are distinguishing features between the groups, scales of hair and that sort of thing. Now all that's left of the chapter is, I want to mention this type of classification, kingdom file classifier, all that stuff, isn't the only way that it's done. In some offshoots of the plants, they actually use levels that are connected to the organization of the Russian military, or not the Russian, the Roman military, with like cohorts and phalanxes and stuff. And viruses, which are not considered alive, still are classified, except their organization, they have species and genus and families and orders, but they don't go above order. They don't have classes and phyla and kingdoms. They're just split into orders of viruses. But other than that, they use basically the same sort of system. Okay, that's it for the classification chapter.